Jak se máš?
Dobře.
Hello everyone, my name is Mike Pontello. This is my wife Sandy. Welcome to our kitchen. Today we're going to be making some Czech spaghetti.
I got to tell you a brief story about why it's called Czech spaghetti. My parents, my mother's Czech, my dad is Bohemian. This is the spaghetti she made for us growing up. Nothing about Italian is this sauce, okay? It's really a good comfort food. My dad was a meat and potato man, and so he didn't like spaghetti sauce and pasta. And the only time my sister and I got this was a really treat. If mom and dad, which they never went out, but if they ever went out, like at Christmas time, Eastern Airlines would have Christmas parties for the employees, we would get spaghetti and meat sauce. And my sister and I loved it. We loved it. So we're gonna go ahead and start cooking. This is very different, totally different than what you're used to. It's 2 pounds of hamburger meat that I've already browned with 2 cups of sliced chopped celery, and 2 medium-sized onions. It's all been cooked and chopped in the meat.
Very lean hamburger.
And my mother used caraway seed. She came from a farm. She probably just was familiar with her own spices that she grew up with. So I took 2 teaspoons of caraway seed. I toasted them on the stove for a few minutes, and then I put them in my little coffee grinder that I have especially for my spices. I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of granulated garlic. I've got a tablespoon and a half of Lawry seasoned salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and this is something I've added through the years, a tablespoon of brown sugar. Okay, and to this, we're gonna add tomato puree, 15 ounces. Okay, and 1 large can, this is a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And I'm gonna add a little bit of water to my cans because I want all of that goodness in there. Plus it just needs a little water. Okay, so we're gonna add a little bit of the water from the can just to get the rest of the sauce. Plus it's a little thick, and that's okay because this is a very thick hamburger meat mixture. It's not a lot of tomatoey. The most exciting part of having this Czech spaghetti, okay, I grew up with no Italian food at all, none. Y'all are gonna flip out. It's Velveeta cheese, okay? You're gonna put the spaghetti on the plate, the meat sauce, and Velveeta cheese. It is total comfort food, and it's delicious. And my sister and I literally were so excited when Mother was making this, because we would pig out.
All right, you want to get that on the stove?
I'm gonna put it on the stove. This should cook for 2 or 3 hours to get the best flavor.
The first time I got to meet Sandy's her mother and father
Was our first date.
I'd heard stories about her dad. Decorated Marine in the Korean War. 3 Purple Hearts, Bronze Star, tough Marine. I mean, tough. I gotta be honest with you, I was a little scared going over there.
Nice guy.
So
He was from Hollettsville, Texas.
I go in the door and meet her mom, sweetest lady I've ever met. Go in the backyard, and my father-in-law was in the back. He wasn't my father-in-law then, but I call him my father-in-law. He's in the back washing the boat. He'd just been fishing. So I go in the backyard, and he's cleaning the boat. And you know, I've got hair down to my shoulders. I'm half scared. And there's my father-in-law, Mark Matusik. The man has been a legend in Hollettsville and Shiner. When he came home from the war, they gave him a salute on Main Street. Also, he was on the front page. The whole paper was the front page. So, hello, Mr. Matusik. I'm Mike Pontello. We hit it off from day one. I fell in love with him. He fell in love with me. To be honest with you, I was as close to that man as I was my own father. Okay? And he was the best, and he was a tough Marine, but he had a heart as big as the world.
He was a very nice man.
The sweetest man, and we just did everything together. We worked on cars together. I used to take him to the country. A lot of the memories that really stick with me is when we get a phone call from my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, and they'd just been to Shiner and Hollisville to visit their parents in a '67 Chevrolet. They'd come back, and the whole back end of it was full of corn. her grandpa grew corn and green beans and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we popped the trunk open. Here's all this corn. The whole trunk was full. We helped them chuck it and do the beans. And you know what? Life was a lot simpler back then. It was amazing. No problems. We didn't have any money, but it didn't matter. And that was our ritual, honey. When your mom and daddy came back from the country, that's what we did. And I'll tell you something else about my mother-in-law. She's an excellent cook too. That's where this one here got most of it from, was my mother-in-law. Oh, I would go eat at my mother's house. This is back when we were dating. I would eat a big meal at my mother's house. I go over there. She's got scalloped potatoes. I mean, it's another 4-course meal. That's when I started to put on weight, to be honest with you. Oh. But it was so good. Oh.
But when you came to our house and we were eating dinner, if you didn't come to the table and make yourself a plate, Dad would be offended, and he'd say, if you leave hungry, it's your own fault.
That's right.
And there's times that I knew that Mike's parents were worried about him putting on weight after he started dating me. So I didn't push him to eat the second. Oh, Dad would get upset with me. Don't make that boy feel like he can't eat over here. You let him eat.
Always took up for me, my father. Always.
Did he ever?
He was a remarkable man, and I really miss him. Died way too young. He died way too young. So a typical weekend for Sandy and I would be, we'd load up the car with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, head to Shiner. Grandpa Moses' shack had a farm. It looked like the field of dreams out there. Corn is this tall. I mean, it was beautiful. We'd go down there and shoot the guns. It was the best time you've ever seen in your life. Had a ball down there, and we'd come down to eating. Oh my God. Grandma Moses' shack, my mother-in-law, a lot of times her sisters were there. We had a big spread, let me tell you. They raised cattle. So they take and butcher a calf. It's nothing to that. We'd have stew meat, we'd have potato salad.
Pickles, peaches. There was always a bowl of
kolaches.
Kolaches.
Fresh made kolaches from her grandma, melt in your mouth.
I want to clarify a true kolache. Living in Houston as long as I have, people I think are misconceived about what a kolache is. A kolache is a sweet dough filled with a sweet fruit as such. It doesn't have the sausage in it. It doesn't have the ham. This is a kolache, okay?
Sandy, I think it's time to dig into this delicious Czech spaghetti.
I think it's been cooking long enough. Okay, this is the fun. This is the best part of this. I took the Velveeta and I grated it on the fine grater. But the only way you can do that for it to come out like this is you gotta freeze the Velveeta. You freeze it in the freezer. It's a hot, ice, hard, cold, and
this is the icing on the cake, right?
Oh my gosh. Me and my sister loved this. I could not ever get enough.
I gotta be honest with y'all. This stuff really is good.
I love it.
So good.
So many happy memories me eating this. I mean, I would eat till my stomach hurt. These glasses are a tribute to my dad. That's Eastern Airlines emblem. He worked for them for 27 years, and then he wasn't here anymore. It's a tribute to you, Dad.
That's Robbie.
Nasty Robbie. Salute.